could hold a clue to link Ida to man, could reveal her ancient behavior. It could shine a light deeper into our history than ever before. Could show whether it's a link to man's early evolution. They may have found the first ever link to human beings.
Any key words jump out at you?
Good.
Hey.
Guys, I want you to think, oh, by the way, you think I'm trying to be a jerk? If I wanted to be a jerk, I could make that twice as long. That's how many more times they use those words. We think, maybe, could be. I'm going to go out on a limb here. Get it? Tough one. I'm going to go out on a limb here and let me try something. You tell me if I'm going too far. If it could be a link, then it could be a lemur. Right? Right?
Yeah.
I mean, if it could be a link, it could be a lemur. Is that fair? And what should we do to figure out if it's a link or a lemur? Very simple. Set aside your preconceived ideas, follow the observational evidence with a logical, testable conclusion, and let's see where it takes us. By the way, you think I'm a Johnny-come-lately on this? I have been talking on this ever since this television program came out. I got the program started shredding right there, day one. Take a look. This is their stuff, okay? You go to their website, the link, you come down here and you push on Ida's anatomy, and you get this really cool picture, and it really is a cool picture. It's an interactive picture. There's the fossil evidence. And let's take a look at what we have inside of here, because her anatomy has remarkable similarities to our own. What are we going to do? Ida has similarities to us. Let's go find out what those similarities are. Let's watch the television program.
When you look at the fossil for the first time, and you get an impression of the completeness, and you start to look at all the different details on this fossil, it's a quite short face. It's not like a very elongated face like you see in most lemurs. And that's comparable almost to us, because we got a very, very flat face.
And we are in trouble. Ida has a flat face like us. What are we going to do? Let's set aside our preconceived ideas. Let's go to the observational evidence. Let's push in that cool little button right there and blow up the face and take a look at the face. And guess what? Ida has a short face like ours. Remember teacher's worst nightmare? Carl's hand's going up. Excuse me, this is the way my mind works. Sir, ma'am, when I compare her skull with a human, or I compare her skull with a lemur, sure enough, looks like us. Hey, you want me to quit talking on this topic? Very glad to do so. Show me anybody in your family line that got a mug like that. I'm done. Anybody in your family look like that, I'm done. You win. That's lemur as lemur gets. Oh, but let's take a look at the 3D reconstruction. This is their 3D reconstruction. I didn't make it up. There it is. And Uncle Bill. Guys, that's a lemur. I'm sorry. But let's keep going. There's a lot more.
When you're looking at the whole body, you look at the quite short arms, quite short legs. Not this very, very long legs and arms. Quite a small, compact body, like us.
We're toast. She's got short arms like us. She's got short legs like us. What are we going to do? We're going to go look at the observational evidence. Let's push on this really cool little button here. And let's take a look at the arms right there. Push on that button, blow the arms up, and sure enough, look at that, look at that. Ida has arms that look exactly like a lemur. Oh yeah. Don't trust me. I'm a Christian. Listen to this from the same TV show. Same show.
Creating an accurate 3D model of Ida. Now the team can compare her skeletal anatomy with living animals in minute detail. Her body proportions and finger length suggest she's a lemur.
Here's the Carl moment again. What? Her body proportions and finger length suggest she's a lemur? Then why are you writing in here that she got short arms like us, short legs like us? By the way, they didn't do it just once. Same program.
But her body proportions and the length of her fingers are like a lemur's.
Twice, same program. I thought she looked like us. Oh, by the way, there's some more deception going on. This is where we really need to teach critical evaluation. If you want to get famous in the world of paleontology, you don't find ape bones, you don't find human bones. That's not going to make you famous. You find an ape-like ancestor. If you find an ape-like ancestor, that's when the money will roll in for you to continue doing research. How do you know if you find an ape-like ancestor? Very simple. You find something that looks like an ape, but walks like a human. Now, apes, for the most part, are biped, or are quadruped, right? Knuckle draggers?
Yes.
Humans are, for the most part, biped, walking up on two legs, right? Okay? Look at Eva. Sure enough, man. Sure enough, she's not fully upright, but she's not fully quadruped. She fits the bill. Not so quickly. Same program. Take a listen when they compare the skeletal structure of Ida with a chimpanzee. A chimpanzee is a...
They are quadrupeds, walking on all fours, as she would have done in...
So when you see that television program, and you see those bones walking pretty upright, you're being lied to. It was a quadruped. Their own show says that. Deception, guys. Deception.
You can see that it's got 5 fingers, of course, and nails on all the fingers, but also the tongue is opposable like us, so it can grasp things, it can hold things the same way we do today. It's already there 47 million years ago. It's a proper hand to hold around things.
We are done. Ida has 5 fingers like us. Ida has nails like us. Ida has a thumb like us. Ida has certain undeniable human characteristics such as forward-facing eyes and an opposable thumb. What are you going to do now? You know what we're going to do? We're going to go back and look at the observational evidence. Let's set aside our preconceived ideas. And let's push on the little cool button here and blow up the hand. And guess what? Sure enough, Ida has 5 fingers exactly like a lemur. Ida has nails exactly like a lemur. Ida has a thumb exactly like a lemur. By the way, anybody remember the quote we've already heard? Her finger link suggests she's a... Then why can't it be a lemur? Everything is lemur about that. And by the way, you want me to quit talking on the topic? Glad to do so. Show me anybody in your family that has a foot like that. If any of your relatives can hang by the tree out there by their toes, I'm done, you win. That is lemur. There's nothing human about that. But she has forward-facing eyes. Oh, what are we going to do? Ida's eyes face forward. They look forward just like... But Carl, Sir David, he's not going to lie to us. I mean, the leg is no longer missing. Am I saying that he's lying to us? No. Well, let me put it to you like this. There's 2 things that could be going on here. Number 1, until the Holy Spirit pulls the scales off of our eyes, this is foolishness. To believe that there's a God that created this foolishness. Number 1, you and I will never argue anybody into the kingdom. It won't happen. It's not like a game of chess where, boom, checkmate, gotcha, and then you're like, oh, dude, you win, I believe. It's not going to happen. Unless the Holy Spirit pulls the scales off their eyes and draws them to himself, there's not a thing that we can do except be obedient to him, which is to give an answer for the reason for the hope that lies within us, okay? It's not our argument as the win. But understand this. Maybe he doesn't know. No, he knows. But there are those that you and I are going to come in contact with that don't have a clue. The only thing they've ever seen is a Sir David. All they've ever seen are these guys in the school system jamming this down their throat. And they don't have a clue that there's another way. Those are the ones that I want to have the conversations with. The guys who are just willingly rejecting the truth, you're not going to convince them. Your teacher who is jamming this down their throats, well, I'm not going to say anything because you're never going to convince them. It's not your job to convince, it's your job to give an answer. And your answer isn't for them. You know what your answer is for? The 5, 6, 7, 1 other child, youth, sitting beside you that is struggling, saying, wow, it really must not be anything. And then that one lone voice stands up and says, sir, ma'am, polite, gentleness, respect. How about this? That's what gives hope to these other, your peers, your classmates, the people that you work with. Excuse me, you know, there is another way. It's not for them necessarily, it's for those that are watching on the outside. That's why we have to give an answer. I'm not calling him a liar, but there is some deception going on, and I'll show that to you in a second. Usually I say, be patient, give science time, you know, they'll catch up to reality. It usually takes 11 months. It didn't take 11 months for Eva, it took 3 days. 3 days from all these big media blitz type stuff that they came out. Science is divided on Ida as the missing link. Why Ida fossil is not the missing link? In order to establish that connection, Ida would have had to have anthropoid-like features that evolved after anthropoids split away from lemurs and other early primates. Here, last Ida fails miserably, so Ida is not a missing link. By the way, let me go to a bastion of conservatism, MSNBC.
Yeah, right.
I'm not going to Fox. Missing link primate isn't a link after all. Remember Ada the fossil discovery announced last May with its own book and TV documentary, a publicity blitz called it the link. Isn't that interesting? When MSNBC calls it a publicity blitz, that's a slap in the face, brother. And that's exactly what it was. It was a publicity blitz. Experts protested that Eva wasn't even a close relative, and the new analysis supports the reaction. The new analysis shows that it was actually as far removed from the monkey ape human ancestry as a primate can be. So when Mr. Krottenmaker wants to make a claim that Christians, creationists, don't want to set aside preconceived ideas, I beg to differ. You see, I think that what we as Christians need to do is we need to study, we need to dig, we need to have answers, and that means when I read a headline, I don't stop at the headline, I read the actual article, and I don't stop at the article, I read the sources that they cite. By the way, Christian, you should be doing the exact same thing with what I'm saying to you. Because if all you're doing is taking what somebody is saying and regurgitating, you are going to be in trouble. You've got to own it for yourself. It's got to be yours because you have dug, you have studied. I believe that I believe that I believe. Then you can speak with boldness. It's not that I'm regurgitating stuff that I've heard from others, man. When these things come out, I get in and dig. By the way, you can still get the DVD on History Channel. Oh yeah, it's still there. Missing Ida Fossil, History Channel. Scientists have discovered the oldest and most complete fossil of a... It's there today. By the way, if you're going to be honest, what should you be doing with this DVD? As a minimum, you should have a sticker on this. Look, it's no longer accepted that this isn't the human ancestry. As a minimum. But if you're going to do the right thing, you got to pull the thing, period. Take a look. The fossil's remarkable state of preservation allows an unprecedented glimpse into early human evolution. Oh, really? You just admitted that it's not a human link. So how can I give you a glimpse into human evolution? Oh, what does the actual evidence show? I'll go back to their program. Take a listen to what they say.
It's an animal that looks like it died just a few years ago.
Amen. Looks like an animal that died just a few years ago. I'm in. Guys, when I read these things, it's a part of our evolution. It's been hidden so far. It's been hidden because all the other specimens are so incomplete. They're so broken. There's almost nothing to study. Why was Ida so amazing? Because you see, you got to understand the other evidence that they have to back up this claim that we evolved from an ape-like ancestor. It's pieces. It's fragments. I mean, this fossil will probably be pictured in all the textbooks for the next 100 years. Think about how weak your position is. That you find something that's going to change everything. And it's a fraud. That's a pretty weak position to hold. This is why she was so popular. Listen.
They need to compare her to existing primate fossils from the human line. But there are only fragments.
Fragments. This is why Ida was so important. Now, this is why I believe that there is some full-blown deception going on, okay? Because I want you to hear from the guy that we've been listening to on this TV program. I want you to hear him when he wasn't on the program getting paid. big money. When he was just giving interviews with the media, take a listen to what he said there.
We are, of course, not stating that this is our direct ancestor. That's too much.
What was the name of the TV show?
The Link.
The book?
Link.
That's too much. Guys, that is deception. He knows, but he still went on the program and sold a bill of goods. This is one of the guys that studied the bones with him. Oh, I'm sorry. Here.
It's not a direct ancestor of monkeys and humans, but researchers say it provides a good indication of what such an ancestor may have looked like.
It is a member of the ancestors. We could call it, if we would put it familiarly, we are not dealing with our grandmother, but perhaps with our grand-aunt.
But perhaps a lemur. Right? And what should we do to figure out if it's a link or a lemur? Set aside the preconceived ideas. You follow the evidence where it goes. This fossil rewrites our understanding of evolution of primates. And you got a pretty weak position. Now, I'm skipping a lot of stuff here, all right? I can go through all 17 of the ancestors in the Smithsonian if you want, but tonight, just for time, we can't do it. Yeah, 3 pieces of a jawbone here, 17 bone fragments. 17 bone fragments. But we know that it was an ape-like human because it had a toe like a human. And the other bones were like an ape, so it walked like a human. But what they don't tell you until you do the research is that the toed bone was found 10 miles away in a different layer of dirt. That's a tall dude. Well, let's go to the superstar. Come on now.
Lucy.
Lucy. This is the superstar. Remember I told you I'm in London Natural History Museum? What was the one piece of evidence that they had to show that humans evolved from ape-like ancestors? Lucy. Do you know what I'm talking about? I mean, rocking the anthropological world, the second Lucy is discovered in southern Uganda. I'm not talking about that Lucy. I'm talking about this Lucy. Now do you know what I'm talking about? Guys, give it up, go home. That is a missing link. I mean, look at that. From the neck up, that is one ugly lady. I'm sorry. The $1 million a year plastic surgery, she needs it. That's ape. Neck up, that's ape. Neck down, that's human. The only problem is when she had a bad hair day, it was all over her body. That's not a good thing for a lady. I'm sorry. It's not a good thing. That's a missing link. What are you going to do? You know, they actually got the bones out of Africa a few years ago. They brought them up to the United States, and they put them on tour. They took them to museums, and you could go in and see the bones. And this is the commercial that they had made. I was speaking in Shreveport, Louisiana at the time, and they were driving children from Shreveport all the way down to Houston to go into the museum and see these bones. 5 hours, one way, to go look at the bones of Lucy. And if you don't think that a museum isn't like a church, you don't get out much. I mean, those children were walking in, quiet, quiet. You're looking at Lucy. I'm like, dude, she's dead. Why can't I talk? According to you, she's been dead for 3.2 million years, and I can't talk. You're not going to wake her up. And by the way, it's monkey bones. You're looking at Lucy. Her story is your story. Now, I don't know what your story is, but I guarantee you this. Her story's not my story, but we better know her story. Because this is a set of bones that has been used to lie to this younger generation in a major way. Here's what they actually found. Now that's amazing. Remember, 3 pieces of a jaw, 17 bone fragments. But look at Lucy. 40%. I mean, that's really good. 2 very important points you need to know about Lucy. Number 1, they thought that she was a she, but then German scientists in 1996 started studying the bones and figured out that she wasn't a she, that she's probably a he, and they wanted to rename her, and they suggested the name Lucifer.
Oh.
I said amen. Because I think this set of bones has been used more to lie to us than any other set of bones going. That's the name they suggested. Point number 2, she's 40% complete. Guys, God says let your yes be
Yes.
and your no.
No.
We We don't have to exaggerate. We don't have to blow our position up. Speak the truth. 40%? Human chimp adult bodies have 206 bones. If you would like to start counting the bones, you're going to find out very quickly that they don't have 40%. They've got 23 to 28%. Now that's still really good. Why do you have to exaggerate your position? You see the hand and foot bones? You see all the hand and foot bones? Don't look too hard. They're not there. And that's where the majority of bones are in the human body, in the hand and the foot. They didn't find any for Lucy, but they found some from her relatives, and we'll deal with that in a second. Take a look at this. Take a look. There's the reconstruction of the skull. Parents, you want another job? Here's another job. Assign this as a assignment for your students. Here's what you need to do. You need to go to the internet. You need to do a search. And you need to come up with 3 reconstructions of Australopithecine. Now, for instance, Lucy's skull. 3 different sources, at least 3. Make it 5, it's even cooler. And look at the difference that you're going to come up with between the 5 different reconstructions. And you're going to see it looking like an ape to looking like a human. Why? Because all they have are fragments, and when all you have are fragments, you fill in around the fragments, and when you fill in around the fragments, you're going to fill in with your bias, worldview, presupposition, whatever you think. This is the guy who discovered the bones on site, reconstructed, and what did they say about the bones?
As we assemble larger pieces from smaller pieces, joining them together, we're beginning to get a fairly impressive picture of a species that has a very ape-like face with big protruding brow ridges. Very ape-like.
If you'd like, go to our website, and there's a series of articles that I did on Lucy. And I actually show some of the reconstructions that you'll find on the internet. But go do your own search. Really, do it for yourself. It's worth doing it for yourself. And look at the reconstructions, and some of them look totally human. Why? Because when you go to the Smithsonian with me, look at what you're going to see. There's the reconstruction of Lucy. And sure enough, that's an ape-like ancestor. It's not totally ape, it's not totally human. It's got characteristics of both. Because remember, if you're going to get famous, you don't find monkey bones, you don't find human bones, you find an ape-like ancestor, something that has characteristics of both apes and humans. Because you see, we need to understand evolution better than the world. We used to teach our kids, go into this classroom and say, well, if you believe we evolved from apes, how come we still got apes? Yuck, yuck, yuck. But the problem is when you tell that little joke, you're telling the person that understands evolution that you don't understand it. Because evolution no longer teaches, it used to, but it no longer teaches that we evolved from apes. It teaches that we evolved from an ape-like ancestor, and that ancestor had apes and human qualities, and from that ancestor, humans and apes came. Does that make sense? Very important point. And look at Lucy. Sure enough, she fits the bill. She's not totally human. She's not totally chimp. What was the actual evidence? What did they actually find? The skull was very ape-like. What about the human characteristics? You know where they came from? I'll let the guy who made the reconstruction tell you. I wanted to get a human soul into this ape-like face to indicate something about where he was headed. Excuse me. You have a very ape-like skull, and you know he's headed somewhere? Yeah, to get a banana. That's about the only thing that you know he's headed to do. Those human characteristics are just added in there. When you go to the museum, don't trust me. You dig for yourself. Look at this. Whoa, St. Louis Zoo. There's Lucy, has a human hand thinking about what's for dinner. Look at the look on her face. What a sense of pride she has. What a good-looking man I got. And here, walking, hey, how y'all doing? Look at chimps walking. Oh, what a good-looking man. Y'all doing okay? They stick the human characteristics in the artwork. What did they actually find? What was the observational evidence? Chimpanzee bones. Don't trust me. Oh, by the way, let's go to the Smithsonian for a second. There it is. There's your evolutionary ancestors. We can go through every one of them if you like, but not tonight. They're not totally ape. They're not totally human. What makes them look a little human? Anything stand out to you? Anything? I've got a simple question for you. Do apes have whites around their eyes?
No.
When you go to the museum and you see the monkey bones reconstructed with human eyeballs, it automatically makes it look more human, but you're being lied to. You need to point the truth out. You're being lied to. And you want to know another piece? Now I get to make you really mad. This morning, do you think I'm joking about this ape-like ancestor that started eating fish and got smart, moved north, and turned white? Do you think I'm joking? Do you notice that the more ape-like, the darker you are? And you don't start turning light until you get more human? I'll show you the video clips. It's exactly what evolution teaches. Evolution is a racist philosophy. I am not saying that evolution caused racism, but it is a racist philosophy. Apes don't have whites around their eyes. Did they, by the way, did they find a fossilized eyeball? How do they know that they had whites around their eyes? They didn't, they just stuck it in there. Here's some more deception. Look at that. We're in trouble. We're done. We're toast. Look at that. That's a human jaw. That's a chimp jaw. And Lucy is exactly where she should be. She's halfway in between. You can get humans and chimps from Lucy's jaw, right? Guys, I am not going to change the size, shape, or the structure of the jaw, but I will change the placement. Now, let me draw a horizontal line on there. And now let's move the jaw and put the back molar on the top of the red line, and let's see if anything kind of changes. Is Lucy so halfway in between apes and humans now? That is a chimpanzee jaw, period. Here's another little thing that you can do with the students. Make them go get reconstructions of Lucy from different sources, and you know what you're going to find? They depict her as orangutan to chimpanzee. Now this one, that's interesting, because that's the London Natural History Museum. Think about it. London Natural History Museum